Hello everyone, this is Jasmine from Jazz Draws Art, and we are now settling into December. So I decided I was going to start a new kind of series for the month where each week leading up to Christmas I will be drawing a character or a scene or something from my favorite Christmas movies, starting with the Santa Claus movies with Tim Allen. I love all three of them. Now, this isn't my number one. I will be leading up to the ones I like the most, so this is from least to best. But that being said, these are still in my top picks that I watch absolutely every year, and there are other movies, but I'll just fit in the ones that I think are most important. So, yes, starting off with Tim Allen's The Santa Claus. I loved these movies as a kid, as I'm sure a lot of other kids did too who are my age, and it's a cute movie, it's a entertaining movie, and I mean, really, you can't really go wrong with Tim Allen working for Disney. It just usually pans out, at least in my opinion. I love these movies. They're a big part of my childhood, and I actually remember believing when I was a kid that this is what Santa looked like. Like, in my head, when I picture him, this is exactly the one I would think of every time. So I really feel like he's the image of Santa for me, because it was more than just like he's a very old man that gives presents to good boys and girls and stuff like that. In the movie, it showed he had more sense of humor and he had more like sensitivity and everything. So I really took to that and went flying. Now you can see that I'm just doing a rough sketch here. I'm trying to kind of lay out where the sketch is going, but I kept feeling like I was making him too boxy or too thin. So I was kind of struggling, and I tried to redo some parts and go over it and fix it. And my computer did have a glitch, so it will, after it shows me sketching, cut to the final line art drawing, because I tried a few times to keep going and recording, but my software just wasn't having it. So when I finally did get it to work, I decided to just let it be the final finished line work, and then I colored it for you guys. Now, I didn't go quite as in-depth with the coloring and shading and everything as I normally do, as I just kind of wanted this to be a bit more simple, more kind of relaxed version of my style, just so I could have more of that feeling of joy and everything and not have to feel stressed out rendering every last little bit. But I still think it's a fun series to do, where I get to talk about my favorite movies and I get to draw a little something from them. Now, personally, out of the three movies, I would probably say that, like, normally I pick the first one as my favorite of any trilogy, just because I love the origins, the beginning. It's what introduces you and draws you in. But I'd have to say for the Santa Claus that I do love all three very much, but I really, really liked the second one. It always cracked me up when he's starting to lose his magic and he has to find a Mrs. Claus, and I love that whole story. And of course the third one is hilarious because I love Martin Short, his comedy, and so I think he played that perfectly, and I really, really enjoyed that. All three movies bring me so much joy, and I do watch them every year. I'm yet to watch them this year, but don't you worry, I will hopefully be able to find the time to sit down and quietly enjoy these movies. Now, I did have some trouble trying to get the expression in the face that he was making and to still make it kind of look like Tim Allen and not just a Santa, which, I mean, it would have been fine, but I wanted it to be a bit closer, but I was having issues, as you can see. I kept undoing everything and then redoing them and going over and over trying to fix my sketches, and yep, it took me back, so I had to fast forward to this part for you guys because it glitched, and so you get to see me coloring it. I also really like the colors and the playfulness of like his suit and everything, because he has the little belt and the sash although I kind of cropped that off in mine because I didn't feel like doing that part. But I kept the main part. I always really liked his Santa suit. I thought it looked really nice. I like that it's a deep shade of red, but not the really purpley kind, but it's still a red, and it's not the really cheap looking, cheesy, overly bright red either. It's kind of sitting right in the right happy medium for me, and so I really enjoyed that part. Now I can see how somewhat that the fluff in his beard look kind of messy and scraggly, like really bumpy, but I wanted it to have more of a rounded, bumpy texture to it, so it looked more full and not as, spiky or feathery. I didn't want it to look too light because it's supposed to be thick and, lustrous, kind of like fur on the coat, and I wanted to make sure that he had a nice full looking hefty beard as he does in the movie, without making him look, like Russian. Like the drawings that you see of like the big thick beards. I wanted him to have a nice look to him, and I also wanted to make sure he didn't look too elderly, which is really hard when you try and draw eye bags and eyelids, by the way. It's really hard. Now this looks kind of creepy, but because I didn't want to go in and fill in or subtract from all the tiny little empty dead pixels or spaces where color shouldn't be, I just filled in the base behind him with that base of that reddy brown I picked from the photo, just so it laid a base behind it, and I erased it where it was supposed to be white, and I left it for the rest of it so it looked nice and fully finished. I also went in with a slightly deeper red, and I started filling in really super roughly the shadows and where I wanted the shading to go. Again, I didn't go into full intricate rendering detail because I wanted this to be a bit more enjoyable, a bit more fun, and be more about reminiscing about the movies and just making something that looks nice. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. I'd have to say some of my favorite moments from this movie, or movies, is I definitely love Comet when he has to go back home to visit his family, and Comet ate all the candy and he was too fat to get back up. That part always made me laugh really hard as a kid. I always thought it was really funny. I also like when he's becoming Santa and all the kids are going in the park, going up to him and sitting on his lap and telling him what they want. And when he's like shaving and it keeps growing back and he keeps trying to lose weight, but he can't lose weight. And when his doctor listens to his heartbeat, it's jingle bells. Gets me every time. I know it's cheesy, I know, but it's very cheesy. Also, don't mind the odd occasional flickering of his skin tone. It's because I'm checking what layer is what, because I hadn't labeled it yet. That's why his skin looked like it went dark. But it's just me checking because underneath is that red layer. I just wanted to clarify that for any of you that were confused. Now, I tried to do this nice rosy one, shading for his face, so it wouldn't look super... I didn't want him to look really ruddy, but I didn't want it to be really pink so it looked like he was covered in blush makeup. So I had to kind of do in between, like a more reddy brown peach color, like really dark, so I could get the highlights on top and just make sure that I got everything the way I wanted it. I'm doing a very general shading and highlights on everything and just trying to get kind of the nice texture so when your eyes relax on it, that your brain kind of fills in the pieces that aren't fully fleshed out. I want to make sure that his beard and the fluff, the fur, whatever you want to call it, on his coat and hat had more of that kind of yellow tint to it, so it felt more like a cream, not stark white. I know it looks whiter in the image, but in the long run, it's easier for your eyes to look at and not such a bold eye-burning contrast to look at, because if it's uncomfortable for your eyes, it won't want to look at it. And considering it's literally framing his face and his body, it's really important. Now, instead of doing just a regular shading brush, I took what's called like a hair fur bristle kind of brush and went over it with that to give it some more texture, some like contrasting texture. So you had a bit of sharp and you had a bit of soft, and it kind of brought out more of the definition of it. So it gave your eye more to look at, something more interesting to draw your eye to everything. Then I added some little bit of shading to the lips, and I had shaded the eyebrows. And then the background, the idea I was going for is like some of the backgrounds of the movies are like a really saturated, bright, and sometimes icy blue to give you more of a winter feeling. And I wanted to put a texture on top so it didn't look just so flat. And then I chose this kind of screen tone look and put that with a certain overlay layer, so that way it would kind of absorb the color and not just be black. And then I was looking for different snow brushes. I tried a star brush to see if it would look good, but I really did want like a snow or snowflake brush because, you know, it's winter, Santa Claus, and I found one that I liked and just played around with it a bit until I got the way I wanted it. And here is the finished piece. Thank you so much, you guys, for watching this video. I hope to see you again in the next one. Make sure to subscribe to my channel for more content like this, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye!